What's up, y'all? You are listening to For the Artists, a podcast brought to you by Creative and Projects. I'm your host, Melissa Sharee.
And I am the co-host, Eric Seats, and it's been a while.
Yes! Co-host Eric Seats. It's episode 100.
100.
Make me feel young.
You know what? I just have to say, though, so we started this, 40 years, 20 years ago. It was like pandemic time. We was doing this every week. Everything was closed down. We didn't have nothing but time. And we've stayed in it and made it 200.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. I missed this. But unfortunately, the time I couldn't do it. But it's good to be back for this 100. Congratulations, Melissa. That's a big deal. Your consistency, you hung in there, and it's, the next thing you know, it's going to be a 200. So it's a good thing.
Oh, hey. And nobody looks like they've aged, okay? But let's do some introductions because we have a special group on with us today. You guys know why you're in the special group? Because you were either one of the most streamed episodes, one of the most watched episodes, or you fall in the category of one of the youngest artists to be featured on the podcast. So give it up for y'all, all stars. All right, let's start. Let's see. I'm looking at the top. We have Leah Poller. Leah, say hello. Introduce yourself again.
Yes. Hi. Greetings from New York. And I'm going to start right away by saying I can't carry a tune. I can't sing. I don't play an instrument, but I love music. And most of everybody you've interviewed has been in the music world.
Yeah, that's all right. Leah, you use your hands. We love all those sculptures, but we'll get into that. All right, who else am I looking at? All right, Jay Charles, why don't you say hello and introduce yourself real quick?
Bienvenidos a Mexico by way of Seattle. I've been working on my Espanol too. It's just getting there. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here for y'all 100th episode. Truly monumentous occasion, and I'm happy that you called me to be a part. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, I'm looking to your left. I see Kalia, one of our youngest features, artist up and coming. Kalia, say hello.
Hi, from Los Angeles. I just moved back to Los Angeles. I'm Kalia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Sweet. And in the bottom, but never at the bottom, we have Arlando. Say what's up, Arlando.
Hello. Hi. From the IE. Yes, Rancho Cucamonga. Representing. Yes. Yes.
Sweet. All right, you guys. So you know what we wanted to talk about today? I looked up, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I looked up the number 100. Like, what does it mean? What is the significance of the number 100? And what I found was, it said it's an angel number, which is cool. It said it's an angel number and that it usually is symbolic of cycles in a journey. Cycles that come to like an end or come full circle, like within our journeys. And so I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, you got to kind of wrap your head around it, because when you think about journeying and you think about how we keep going and going and going, it's like, I wanted to find out from you guys, since the last time you were on the podcast, was there anything that you experienced in terms of a cycle, like some sort of pattern in your life, in your creative life, that kind of like wrapped up neatly, came full circle, or came to a close that helped you like keep moving forward creatively? I know it's a deep one.
I don't want to go before the ladies.
Yeah, but you might spark something, co-host. Give it up.
All right. Well, as of recent, I have delved into, I guess, another career almost. I don't need to say almost, pretty much another career. So what came along with that was some more education, really some hands-on training. I don't mean to be so vast, but just but I understand that, that 100, because we always just look at 50 as being half of anything. So that 100, that makes sense. And then, a century, or just a restart. I guess I was in the term, not in the term, but in the way of becoming a student again. That was full circle for me, because I love to remain a student at all times, because that's the, in order to gain wisdom, we have to keep excelling, keep growing. And, and I like a good challenge too. So I feel good about diving into something that has nothing to do with music. Well, not directly, very indirectly to do with music, but not the same mentality, not the same terminology. And that's just healthy. So that's I guess a testimony of, but I get that, the cycles and the journey, because a lot of things that I've already did know, I was able to apply that to this new stuff. And then at the same time, soaking up all the new, and being able to go back and then even understand what I already knew makes a lot more sense now that I'm learning this stuff. I don't mean to be so all over the place, but I don't know how to say it any other kind of way. But I hope that can help. The student part was the cycle for me.
Yeah.
If I do the age before beauty, I'm the senior member of this wonderful group today. So let me see if I can get on a high perch and be a little wise. I don't know. I feel like every day I get reborn, that it's all an opportunity to start almost everything over again. It's giving yourself permission to be new, to renew, and to see your world through different eyes. And I think, COVID did that to all of us. It obliged us to confront that moment when something ended and something new had to start. So we all talk about like a reset. And I feel one really in my bones at this point. I have a tough legacy to live up to. My mom lived to 104. So there are mornings I wake up and I say, okay, I'm halfway. Who knows? Who knows how long I can go, with modern science and medicine. Lord, there's no end to it. But it's like you, Eric. I think that a good day is a day I learn something new. A good day is a day when I forget what the past was and I say, go girl, do it again, make it happen. The only thing that gets in my way is me, really. So I have to kind of drop all of my ideas, my preconceived notions. And I have to say that just this podcast during COVID was a high point for me. It was really a big, big moment. It repeats over and over again. It reminds me how powerful it is when you get together and you share these ideas. And in all of the things that have happened in New York in the last 2 years, one of my strong pushes is get people together, get them to talk, get them to look at what's possible. So yeah, I'm all for day one all over again.
Nice.
Arlando, you got something?
Oh. Oh wait, oh, you can hear me. Okay. I would say for me, like cycle wise, I feel like for me, there's like a cycle of the way I used to know myself and the way that I'm knowing myself now are completely different. It feels like the way I used to see things perspective wise, I would say has changed quite a lot. I feel like this part of my life compared to where I was when I did the podcast is now I've come to a place of just acceptance, which is very different because I always thought acceptance was like, oh, you're just giving in, but just acceptance where I'm like, oh, this is what it feels like to accept and not always be resisting all the time. Accept things that I had a hard time accepting, which has made it a lot easier for me now. There's things that during that time period that I wanted to do, but was not accepting of the fact of what I was able to do at that time period. Whereas now I can look back and I can kind of laugh and be like, oh, yeah, you were totally not in a place to really do that. And that's okay. You know, now you are in a better place to do that. And sometimes the biggest thing for me to just accept was there's things that we want to do in our lives at certain points, but we're not in a place to do it yet. Like we're just seeing a glimpse, and that's fine. Because there'll be a point where it will come up again and we will be ready. But I remember during that time, I was beating myself up a lot for not feeling that I was ready enough or I wasn't good enough. And it just was like, no, like right now you're just in this place in your life where you need to let these things go and accept these things for what they are right now so that you can be the person that you want to be and do those things later on. And so that has really been really the cycle that I'm in that I wasn't in before. So
Yeah.
Journey.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Journey.
I hope that made sense.
Yeah.
I hope that made a lot of sense.
I get it.
Yep. I can relate. It made sense to me.
Yeah.
Ooh, Kalia, you got something. Your mic turned on.
Oh, sure. Okay. Yeah, sure. I guess for like a cycle, I don't know, maybe just like the cycle of me being in Texas is ending because I moved from LA to Austin, from Austin to back to LA. And so I don't know, it was just like really, it was kind of a rough cycle just because not a lot of my family were doing well in Texas as well as we were doing here. So I guess that like that kind of cycle of struggling is being like it's coming to a close, coming to an ending. And like I guess we're opening up a new cycle because we're getting like I came here and I got like a bunch of like opportunities and like yeah, it just feels like kind of like we're closing a cycle and ending a new one, but maybe like the cycle that we were in before is not like fully closed. I don't know. It's just like we feel like we're still supposed to be in both places right now. And so, yeah, I just feel like our cycle of struggling and emotional tension is like coming to an end.
Mm, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, that's like a powerful. I like that. I think it's on me now. A cycle that's been in it as I'm over here just looking at the vastness and the beauty of Mexico is working past the point of burnout or pouring from an empty cup. Like that is something, you know, you do it with good intention. I've done it with good intention. I've done it with a good heart, you know, because a lot of times, you know, that's what's called for. But when you are continually doing that, you know, pouring from an empty vessel, you know what I'm saying, and trying to be effective, you realize that after a while you're doing more damage than you are doing good, not only to yourself, but those who you're trying to help. So, yeah, you know, this is actually symbolic as why I'm on vacation now, not really worried about music, not really worried about career. I'm taking some moments to pour into myself, rest and rejuvenate, so that when it is time to hit the ground running, I'm supersonic speed and more efficient. You know, just making sure that that's the cycle that's ended, like making sure to not put myself last when it comes.
Nice. I don't know if you were done or you froze, but you're not moving, so I can't hear him. Okay. I'm gonna kind of chime in similarly to what Kalia was talking about because we physically went through like a move. which was very interesting because like we moved to a place that I used to come to vacation at and to just enjoy. And now we're like permanently like living in that place. And so it's interesting how like talking about like coming full circle and going through cycles, how like you unexpectedly land in a place where like it was the furthest thing from your mind. You land there, and then it's like, wow, an opportunity is before me to kind of reinvent myself or restart. And what I've noticed is like my own internal battle with, even though I want to restart and do something new, it's like that pull to just naturally do what you're used to doing, which is actually old. So it's almost like a little bit deceptive because you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do new. And then you look like, no, but actually I've done that. I'm just trying to do it again in a different place. So how new is that really? I don't know if you guys can relate to that creatively, but it's like, you know how you just kind of lean into what's natural, what you know, and you're like, ooh, I'm doing new because I'm in a new place. But it's like, no, it's like you got to challenge yourself to be like, that's not really new, Melissa. Like, do new if you're gonna do new.
Yeah, you know, in the art world, painting, sculpture, etc., there's always a conversation about place. Could you make this work if you were in a different place? Or did you only make this work because of where you were? So we're always constantly examining, you know, the angle from which the sun's rays hit us and what's in our surroundings and how it can change. It can have an enormous impact on us. Yeah. So I took a giant leap myself in terms of place, and I got myself, I'm calling it retirement, but it's not really. It's the next chapter, right? In southern Italy. And it's really, really, yeah. I mean, I've been around the block a couple times. Yeah. And so I can say that I kind of hoped that it would produce this effect, but I literally can feel my brain popping open and air flowing through it like it hasn't done because of being in that rut for so many years in that same place, doing the same thing, the same people. And as good as it was and as comfortable as it was putting me to sleep. So like a big kick in the pants and saying, wow, I can't even say, can I have a coffee without thinking twice how you say it, you know? So there's nothing automatic about anything I do. And I've learned, and I think this is really what's so fantastic, is you learn to laugh at yourself. You know, I learned to laugh at myself. It's like, oh, I can't believe I just said that. It doesn't sound like anything on this planet, but I got my coffee, you know. And it's very interesting. It's rejuvenating for sure. I think many of us fall asleep in front of a television for 20 years of our lives.
Hey, first of all, congratulations on that relocation.
Yeah, thank you.
That's so awesome, and I can relate because I just recently got my citizenship paperwork back because I plan to leave the country, move out of the country, right? And so I filled that application out a year and a half ago, maybe, and so just that's right along that track. And then same with Kalia. Sometimes change is good, location wise. You know what I mean? Because I'm gonna have to become another person over there. You know what I mean? And I can't wait to explore and see who else I am, or what else is possible. But it's important to not not get so complacent in these routines because that can stunt some growth. Change is good. That's one of my favorite cliches. I just plan to abide by that. So I'll be turning 50 this year, man. So I'm hitting the. I want to be a better person, and I want to change, and I want to embrace other lingo. I've been afforded the opportunity to travel so much, but I want to really take advantage of living elsewhere. And so that's going to me, that's an upgrade. It'll be some sort of upgrade. And I welcome that. I welcome that all day. So congratulations, Leah.
Yeah, welcome back, Jay Charles. Leah was just talking about how she's in Italy. Yeah.
I'm sorry for the back.
This was going to ask you, Leah, though, because you mentioned something about being in a rut and how we can kind of fall asleep, living our lives like looking at the TV. Did you know you were in a rut before you moved to Italy, or did the move to Italy open your eyes to see how much of a rut you were in?
You know, I've done this before. And when I was 30 and divorcing with 3 kids, I went to Paris for 6 weeks and I stayed for 23 years. So it's kind of in my DNA to get up and go. There's gypsy blood in the family. But people would say, oh, you're so courageous to do this. And I would say, no, I'm not. I'm a coward of the first order. Just the idea of ending up in some old age home in America is enough to light a fire under me and get me someplace else, really. It's not the way to go. And I remember my sister is older than I am. And one day she said to me, and this goes back easily 10 years, she said, oh, well, now at my age, I don't do this. And I heard that and I said, ooh, not me, not me. Every year I'm going to add something. I'm going to add something I never did before. Maybe part of that, I never did this before. So let's see what happens, right? Yeah.
It's so cool. Steve, were you about to say something?
No, I was just congratulating. That's the mentality to have. Keep pressing.
Yeah.
Like it's reset every day. We're blessed to wake up. That's another chance to not complain about anything. It's just do something. I'm about doing progression. I'm about forward motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Challenge, healthy challenges. You know what I mean? Those are healthy challenges. Learn so much more when you get away from at least a certain group of people. If you're around that certain group too much, that's just one angle, you know what I mean? But I get, it's so funny because, all these years I've been, of course, a musician, but I don't find myself longing to hang around a whole group of musicians my whole life. I never saw that, because that's almost a go nowhere mentality to have, because it stunts your growth because other people bring information to you. And so the variety of the specialties that my friends have is educational for me. I learn a lot from people. We all need to learn a lot from other people. You know what I mean? That's what this world is about to me.
Okay, this is what I want to know. What sort of things are you guys celebrating these days in terms of creative accomplishments?
That's a good question too. That is a good question. I guess I'll pop it off since I got kicked off and gone back in. I think from the last time that we spoke, I've been a part of a group of people who lost everything because of technological malfunction. I lost all my music, and it was a devastating experience. Like you say, I see my man Eric, like how that feels. It's like like you think you saved everything to the cloud, but there's nowhere to be found. Man, I'm trying to tell you. So, yeah, man, having to start back from scratch, not being afraid of being weak again and relearning, you know what I mean, and re-downloading and all this other type of stuff. But the beauty about that, I think, I always believe that with crisis comes opportunity, right? So that was an opportunity for me, not only to take on what I had already learned, but to build off of that, with new software, new whatever, you know what I mean? And it's actually taking my game up to another level, just like you said, like taking those healthy challenges and making the most of it. So that's one thing I can say.
Hey.
Yeah,
love it.
I can relate to that loss.
I know.
That start from scratch is That's almost debilitating because I mean you have to like think about, so you got to think about the loss for a second. You got to mourn and grieve for a second, But then once you get over that, saying that precipice, you can move forward and do everything that you need to do.
But kudos to you for getting over it, because there are some people that they would just be like, you know what, I'm done. Like they would, that would be the end of it for them. They couldn't actually recover from that. So that is definitely something to celebrate. The fact that you actually would start again from scratch, having experienced that. Kalia,
Yes, ma'am.
you got something? You celebrating?
I don't know really if it's like a celebration, but like it's an accomplishment for sure. I think I don't remember how long it was, like 2 weeks ago, like right before I moved. It was literally like 2 days before I moved. I played my first gig at a kava bar, and yeah, so we were like, it was, I mean, it just kind of broke me out of my shell, kind of like changed my perspective on like performing and stuff like that. Because when I was younger, like a lot of the time, like people would make it such like a huge deal, like you're performing this and this and this, and like this time I wasn't nervous, like I wasn't like worried about people judging me, I wasn't worried about like any of that, and like I've always been kind of like stage fright type girl. So um yeah, I don't know, it's just like kind of given me like, I remember when we spoke, I said that I wanted to perform really bad, and I did get my chance to perform right before I left, and uh get paid for it too. So yep.
Hey. Nice. Congrats.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it gets easier.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah. That's tight.
Leah, I think you have something.
You know, part of this change is going to include changing materials, because I've been working in bronze for 40 years and it's gotten heavy, and I see how slow it is compared to what other artists are capable of producing. And so now I'm going to be changing materials and seeing what I can, create from a completely different, I'm going from something very heavy and resistant to something very malleable and light, and see what happens. If I were to paraphrase you, I'm going to start building angel wings, right? I'm going to start building those angel wings. And in the city where I'm going in Italy, they're famous for all of the effigies that they do for the churches. And so they're surrounded by angels everywhere. It's quite extraordinary. Sculpted angels everywhere, in multitude. So I guess I'm just going to kind of inch my way up to that.
Yeah. What is the new material that you'll be using?
They have a material, it's called carta pesta, and it's a paper that is, it's like our paper mache, but somewhat different in that it lasts for 100 years. We do things like the masks in Mexico and the Mardi Gras, floats. We do some of that in paper mache, but we don't have a way for it to last. And they have a way for it to last. I mean, if you go in the churches, they're just filled with this work that it was done 100 years ago, and it's still there and it's still vibrant. And it weighs like a feather, so it's going to be a real treat, right?
That's nice.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
Arlando.
Really creative. I'm just like happy that Kalia got her first gig. Honestly, that makes me happy. That makes me so happy. Yay. I would say for me, creative accomplishment wise, let's see. Like for the last time or recent? I mean, it's weird. Like I would say, I mean, last year I got into a band. So, yeah, that's a big one now when I think about it. Like the end of last, like that tail end half of last year, I got into a band. Um, what else? Um,
What's the name of the
accomplishment.
band?
Tori Brennan and Everything with Soul. So that's the name of the band.
Nice.
We had rehearsal yesterday. That's why I'm like, oh, I had band rehearsal yesterday. I would say the greatest one. I mean, honestly, I would say it'd probably be the way I just talk to myself. I think that top probably is the biggest one. Probably maybe more so than the art, actually, because I didn't realize for such a long time how I was talking to myself was actually not was making it harder for me to create. Um, so I would say that's a big one, actually. That and well, let me see, what's another one? What's another one? Um, there's Artist Way. Like I finished, I think it was the first time I ever did like a full set of like Artist Way. If you've ever heard of the book, it's basically where you go through like 12 weeks and it's just like creative recovery. And I went through that and I was like, wow, I'm proud that I think every single time I've attempted it prior to this time, I was never able to finish it. So that was a big one for me. And then I would say those two really. I would say that it's helped those things have probably helped me the most actually feel a lot better about myself, not only as an really just as a person. I think after everything that I've gone through, if you asked me a few years ago if I could be the way that I'm talking to myself now, I probably wouldn't have imagined it. I would have just thought, oh, that'd be a dream. So for me, those things are really the accomplishments and not feeling I think realizing that how much of my own fear, as much as it was helpful when I was younger, as I gotten older, I realized the limitations it actually I put on myself because of it. I would say doing those things has kind of helped that go down a lot. And now I kind of feel like, okay, I can kind of what Leah was saying about like starting from scratch, starting fresh and everything. I think like the lie is telling ourselves that we're never changing and we always are. It's just if we don't, sometimes we just don't allow ourselves to, because we think that if we keep all the things that we've been so used to doing, we're just going to not feel safe. And I think the biggest lie is telling ourselves that we feel safe when we actually feel unsafe. So I would say those things.
Arlando, did you say The Artist's Way, the book, The Artist's Way?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that you could apply that to music. For the fine arts, we did that. Oh my God, I must have done that like 30 years ago. It's a fantastic book and it's a fantastic exercise. And I think what it does is it gets you to move from your left brain to your right brain and back and forth. It has you seeing the world in two dimensions that weren't compatible before, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say that it's definitely made me more aware of my emotional side and how I was depriving parts of me emotionally, and that did impact how it's feeling mentally a lot. So, yeah.
Mhm. Cool.
And I will say, okay, to brag on you, Arlando, you didn't just complete The Artist Way, okay? You showed up and showed out because you were all in every week doing the work. So
Yeah.
kudos to you because you really got a lot out of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so listen, y'all. Obviously, we can't be on here talking for hours and hours, but I have one more question, unless Seats has another one that I definitely want to ask before we start to land the plane. And Arletta, you kind of alluded to it, so it's a nice transition because I wanted to know what is one thing that you have done that has kept you grounded you know, since the last time we all spoke or whatever, like what's that one thing that's kept you grounded and kept you like energized and fired up to be like, I can do this. I can keep going with my creativity and my journey as an artist. Anyone? Let's ponder.
Let's ponder. I don't know if you can hear the city noise in the back. One for me is that immediate reframing of understanding that challenges are just character building opportunities. You know what I mean? And being able to not take anything directly personally, you know what I mean? But to understand that if somebody comes to me with some hogwash, it has less reflection on me than it does, you know, say what the other person might be experiencing. So a lot of times, you know, like that, for example, that immediate reframing, if somebody comes to me with the hogwash, you know, to ask that person, are you okay? You don't understand how that little question can change the trajectory of a conversation, to have somebody open up and like really, you know what I'm saying, like be vulnerable with what they're feeling, to where like you can be in a position to help that person out in the time of need, right? Instead of, you know what I'm saying, popping off with something good for in my younger age, you know what I'm saying? So you know, that immediate reframing and like recognizing that those opportunities are good for all of us. So like, you know, that, you know, when we take a moment to respond instead of react, we're doing a whole much better for not only ourselves, but for the people around us. So that's one thing that's kept me grounded for sure.
That's dope. So good. Immediate reframing.
Well said.
All right.
Oh, I would say for me, it's definitely similar to what Jay Charles said, like immediate reframing. But I gotta say, those morning pages, you know, it's weird. I've grown to love them more. Now I'm like, oh, I didn't realize that's what I was feeling. I didn't realize that how I was thinking. Like, I just didn't realize that, because it's one thing for you to say it in your head. It's another thing when you actually take the time to write it out and you see it in front of you and you're like, oh. I would say like that has helped so much, because it has helped me reframe situations and things in the present and in the past differently. I think that that has helped me see that, I think regardless of where you move to, certain things, if you don't ask, because I always thought like if I moved someplace that the things that I was carrying with me wouldn't follow. And I learned during that pandemic that was not true. But I learned from definitely doing the morning pages is probably how, like, just how I talk to myself, but just how I see different situations as a whole. But it's also made me kind of help me laugh at myself a little bit, especially rereading them after a certain amount of time. You're like, this is funny. This is hilarious. Like I can laugh back. But I can be like, you know, I can kind of affirm myself in a way that I wasn't able to, that I was looking for other people to do, that I wasn't giving to myself. So I would say definitely morning pages. I know they take some time, but they're worth it. They're worth it.
Anyone else got something? What's kept you grounded?
Yeah, I think we being told constantly, always, there's something about there's not enough to go around, and there's scarcity, and things are precious, and it's not really true. It's not true at all. We're just all energy, and so what do you choose to spend your energy on? And I figured out, I think during COVID and following COVID, that deprivation, that social deprivation really weighed a lot. And I came up with a way to handle the day, and that was, I got something, I gave something. Automatic, got something, I gave it. I didn't try to hold on to it. I didn't try and call it mine and possess it in any way. And it suddenly became this kind of motion of generosity, because it leaves a space within yourself to receive. if you're so busy holding on, you have no room to get anything more in you. So by opening that space, things just kept pouring in, pouring in. I mean, it was just amazing. And it continues in that way. So, go, get it out there, let it go, surrender to it, be gone. And then suddenly, wow, there's room for so much to come. And that's been a good practice. And those morning pages are absolutely wonderful too. Right? They really are. They work. It works. Yeah.
I'm not even going to front. What are the morning pages?
Oh.
Basically, you write whatever comes to your mind in the morning for 3 pages. And I know like there's like a guideline of like the size of paper you use, but honestly, I use a small notebook starting out just to get in the habit of just writing 3 pages. And then once you get more comfortable, you can make the size bigger. It's just really a way for you to dump stuff without judging yourself. And then after a certain period of time, once you do it, you start to kind of get a clear idea of what's going on inside. And kind of similar to what Leah said about energy, I definitely noticed that because like you're letting it go by writing it out so much, your energy does change, like it does shift.
Mm-hmm. And the idea is that you're doing it like first thing in the morning, when you first start your day, when you're first getting going, before anything can interfere with that. And you just really get, like what's really going on out at the top of your morning, of your day.
They say that during sleep, and the reason that sleep is so important, somehow biologically, the body sends all these garbage collectors around in your brain to clean up things. And they spend all night, gobble, 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 garbage, garbage, garbage. And you wake up in the morning, it's the first moment before anything else comes in that you're at your cleanest, most direct self. And so what you start writing is maybe the best that you can write, the clearest, safest path to self-discovery.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That's fact.
All right. Anyone else got anything?
I got something. I think the last time we talked, I mentioned how I have like a little girl group with my best friend Zion. She lives here and now I live here, so we're able to like go and do and like record and everything, and like it just keeps me like, obviously like that's like when you mentioned like what keeps you grounded is like having her there and knowing that like we're just literally like 10 minutes away from each other and we can like do whatever we want with our musical choices now. And like, I'm sorry if you can hear that in the background. It's I right now I'm staying on like a main street, so they're doing everything in their power possible to annoy me. Anyways, I was just saying that it just makes me feel a lot more like it just makes me feel better to know that like it's easier now for us to make creative choices together instead of one of us thinking of something, calling the other person, them not answering. You know what I mean? Like it just feels good to have that now.
Nice. Seats, you took your mic off.
Yeah, no, you can.
All right, well, just to rephrase what I'm understanding you say, Kalia, is that like there's a sense of grounding for you when you're like basically in community with other like artists, which is dope. We need that. We can't really do much outside of community, like
There's a huge
like I'm telling. Go ahead, Zeets.
No, that matters. That matters. That person, that other entity, that other vibration from another person, being in the moment, in the creative moment with you. That's everything. You can't compare that to, like she said, making a phone call and the moment is gone. You know what I mean? So Yeah. Congratulations on that. You and your bandmate. That's dope. What's the name of your group?
Sorry. It's
I gotta
called
start shouting y'all
Mutual.
groups out.
It's called we're called Mutual Problem.
Right on. That's a dope name.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is the plug.
Hey, mutual problem. All right. Man, well, we've really maximized this moment. I just want to say I love y'all for real, for real. I do. I'm so excited and happy that you guys are on here to celebrate. Yeah, I just want to also say, I mean, I really think it's important for that you guys may already do this. I know that I don't, so I'm like even saying this for myself, like making sure that we take the time to celebrate those things, all those things. You know, a lot of people say celebrate the wins, but it's like every day there should be something that we actually are like, you know, let me celebrate that. Like, don't let too much time go by where we haven't done that, because I feel like we're doing a lot of things every day, like a lot of striving, a lot of like moving toward purpose, a lot of wanting to create, and all of that takes so much energy, so much work. And I think if we don't take the moment to like celebrate ourselves, you know, not in like some bad way. I think you guys feel me. You know, like don't wait for somebody else to celebrate you. It's like we need to find a space to be like, you know what? I celebrate that. I celebrate the fact that I, wrote those 2 sentences. Whatever it is, celebrate it. Because it was some work getting to this episode 100. And somebody said to me, "Are you going to celebrate it?" And I was like, "Oh, I was so busy trying to make it happen. I wasn't thinking about let's celebrate it. I was just like, we need to make 100."
And again, Melissa, congratulations to you on hanging in there and persevering and staying diligent and consistent with this, because like Leah mentioned, and like I'll say for myself, these are good memories to have. These are, because it's important I love, a lot of times you don't even get to reflect on what you do and what you're doing until somebody interviews you and you're able to answer those questions and reflect. So thank you for providing this podcast for all of these artists, because I've learned a lot from every episode. I miss these and congratulations on 100 and keep going. You're doing a great job.
Seats, I couldn't have got to 100 without you, my co-host, okay? And I need to talk to you about season 3.
All right, we'll do. You got it.
Great.
All right. Well, does anybody have anything else to say before we start to wrap it up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was trying to figure out on the calendar when I met Eric, how long ago that was. And geographically, we should be near, but that man is always on a plane somewhere. So it's really hard to, find him. That's that famous saying, you can't step on his shadow because there's never one, right? He's moving, right? But, even when your friends aren't really right there, they are there. They are there. They are actually keeping you company every step along the way. And, sometimes you open up your address book looking for something and a name pops up and you say, "Oh my gosh, I haven't spoken to that person in like years and years." And I actually connected with someone I didn't see for 55 years that found me. So you are in people's minds. They do hold you dear. They really do. And that's something we can always acknowledge, make that phone call, pick up that phone. If you're thinking about that person, I bet you something happened within the past 24 hours. They were thinking of you. It's just works, Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just, shrug it off and say, "Oh, I'm busy." Make that call, send that little note, remind yourself of that person. And I mean, it really is your full life when you do that. Yeah.
So good.
Congratulations, Leah, Orlando, Kalia, J. Charles. for all of y'all accomplishments. You know, we can't wait to see what else is coming because it's all unfolding still. So yeah, keep us posted. Keep, you know, these new bands, when they hit big, let us know, you know, invite them on as well. But yeah, I hope everybody remains doing well. And this has been a delight again.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Keep going, Liz. 200 up next.
Yep.
200 up next. Oh,
100. Thank you.
all right,
Thank you
y'all.
so much.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Well, we got to do our tag out. Oh, I love those balloons. So if you're listening, if you're watching, this has been episode 100 of For the Artist podcast, brought to you by Creative M Projects. I've been your host, Melissa Sharee.
I've been your co-host, Mr. Eric Seats.
Yes, and until next week, you already know what it is. We want you to keep creating. All right, y'all. Peace.
Peace, everybody.